Is the White House haunted? And do world leaders privately seek advice from the other side? We're going to ask our guest those questions. He's the author of the book Never Letting Go, and he's known as the psychic lawyer. Let's welcome Mark Anthony. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you, Barbara.
Perfect day to have you here.
It is. What could be scarier than a lawyer who sees dead people?
Well, I mean, that's what. How do we know? How do you know you're a psychic?
Well, I was born with the ability to perceive spirits. Both my parents had this ability, and it runs in my family on both sides for about 100 years.
And how do you prove to yourself that you're seeing real dead people?
Through evidential mediumship. As a lawyer, I present evidence to a judge and jury in court. And as a medium, what I have to do is when a spirit communicates with me, I have to convey pieces of evidence that can be verified. So if I just said to you, oh, your grandmother's here and she loves you, that doesn't prove anything, Barbara.
No, right?
But if I tell you what she looked like, what she passed from, her age, favorite song, pieces of jewelry, things that I have no reason to know, then that's evidential mediumship.
So let's move on then. Is the White House haunted?
Yes, it is. And it is believed that the spirit of Abraham Lincoln and his son Willy Todd Lincoln roam the halls of the White House.
Ooh, wow. And do you have evidence of that?
Yes, I do. This has been documented for over 150 years.
Somebody has seen them there wandering through the White House halls?
Not just somebody, but some pretty impressive people. We're talking Teddy Roosevelt. I mean, talk about a no-nonsense president. Harry Truman, First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, President Lyndon Johnson. In fact, Lyndon Johnson was overheard by White House staffers talking to Lincoln's spirit, and unfortunately that got out, and comedian Bob Hope took the ball and ran with that one.
So they then told other people that they felt that they had actually seen Abraham Lincoln in the White House.
Well, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, right after the U.S. entered the war, he knew he had to have a solid deal with the United States so that Britain and America together could triumph against Adolf Hitler. So Churchill flew from London to Washington. He was put up in the Lincoln bedroom. And the Lincoln bedroom, Barbara, it wasn't always a bedroom. It used to be an office. It was Abraham Lincoln's private office, and now it is decorated and it's filled with pieces from the Lincoln administration, including the bed that Willy Todd Lincoln died in. He died of scarlet fever when he was 11. So Winston Churchill insisted every afternoon on having a bath. And he was a quirky guy. So Churchill would get out of the bathtub and he walked into the Lincoln bedroom completely naked, because he liked to walk around the room smoking a cigar, making notes for what he was going to be saying to Congress the next day. And there he's confronted with the spirit of Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, that must have been something.
Well, Churchill being Churchill, he took a puff off of his cigar, looked right at the spirit of Abraham Lincoln and said, "Good afternoon, Mr. President. I'm sorry, but you seem to have me at a disadvantage."
Now, how do you know that happened?
Well, right after that, Churchill not only told his assistant, but he went downstairs, well, he got dressed first, being very proper British, went downstairs and said to the Roosevelts, "I will not spend another night in that accursed bedroom."
And so he told them what had happened.
He told them what had happened, and Winston Churchill was here a lot, and he never again spent another night in the Lincoln bedroom.
Now, Nancy Reagan is probably the most famous of the White House inhabitants who consulted with psychics. Anybody else? Any other presidents or first ladies?
Absolutely. Calvin Coolidge and his wife did. Warren G. Harding, Richard Nixon, John F. Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, even though he wasn't in the White House.
They all consulted. What's the proof of that?
Joan Quigley was arguably the most, not Joan Quigley, excuse me, Jean Dixon. Joan Quigley was the Reagan psychic advisor. Jean Dixon first advised FDR, told him about how the world was going to be after World War II, also predicted the date he was going to die. Jean Dixon predicted to a crowd in 1956 that a Democrat with big blue eyes and bushy brown hair would be elected president. In 1960, it was John F. Kennedy, predicted the day he was going to be assassinated. And through Rosemary Woods, Richard Nixon's secretary, Jean Dixon used to advise Richard Nixon. In fact, there's a recording in the Library of Congress of President Nixon talking to Secretary of State Kissinger, and he said, "You know, Rosemary talks to that soothsayer."
I suspect that we will find out whether the current residents of the White House consult psychics, but not for a few years to come. I want to mention your book, Never Letting Go, by Mark Anthony. It's doing very well, isn't it, on Amazon.com?
Yes, it is. On Amazon, it's on sale everywhere at all fine bookstores, and it's well on its way to becoming bestseller status.
Okay, it's a healing grief through psychic help. Right?
Well, with connections from the other side, it will teach people how to recognize when their loved ones in spirit are near. It's inspirational because it produces evidential mediumship from the other side, and it will provide healing messages of love and hope.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for coming, the psychic lawyer.
Thank you, and happy Halloween.
Thank you.